Welcome back to the Nurses Investing for Wealth mini-series podcast, Season 1. This is where I'm sharing with you the big picture look you need to be able to turn your nursing salary into work optional freedom once and for all. In the last episode, we talked about the toxic nursing culture death spiral. It's a mouthful. Specifically what it is, and today I'm breaking down how nurses and advanced practice nurses are responding. People commonly ask, but wouldn't it cost too much to end the toxic nursing culture death spiral? Okay, people don't actually ask that, but people are thinking it all the time. To that I say, ask me the real question. And that is why aren't more resources being invested in ending the toxicity? Because toxicity is burning all of us out, negatively impacting patients, and causing headaches for administrators. If you wonder if the problem is money, if there aren't enough financial resources to create a better situation for nurses on the front line, then let me draw your attention back to the fact that the US spends more on healthcare than any other country in the world and has worse population health outcomes. So when I hear that changes can't be made because it's too expensive, it makes me vomit in my mouth a little bit. The problem is not being able to pay nurses or afford safe and sustainable work environments. The problem is obscene administrative waste inside an inequitable system that's built to funnel money to a few top leaders. I know, brutal, but that is what's happening. As a healthcare provider, ethically, it seems clear that any urgent cost-saving focus should be on reducing waste and more equitable distribution of the money being made, not asking frontline carers to keep sacrificing their well-being. So it's not a lack of money that's preventing us from ending the toxic nursing culture death spiral. In fact, not addressing toxicity in nursing is what's costing businesses money. Because, listen to this, even business research shows it makes no financial sense to continue the practices that are driving the death spiral. Worker retention saves organizations money. More productive individuals save money. Better advocacy saves money. Fewer medical errors saves money. Preventing strikes saves money. In addition, not focusing on these things has contributed to the boom in agency, locums, and travel nursing, which costs organizations more too. Nurses fed up with toxic environments are more likely to leave their full-time staff positions and work with agencies. Short-staffed hospitals are required to hire them to fill the staffing gaps they create. And because agency nurses are paid more than staff nurses, hospitals say this is a driver of increasing costs. The paradox is that organizational efforts to save money is what is contributing to a financial death spiral. That's what's increasing costs. Because organizations waste money trying to control people rather than the environments where they work. We see this in actions where administrators push to keep wages down. Nurses grow weary from toxicity, so they quit. The result is a nursing exodus and unstable workforce. Nurses naturally leave to go to other organizations where pay is higher, hoping for more sustainable work environments. This is a reason why travel nursing and locums work has become so attractive to nurses. Nurses have had to make a choice to do what's best for them because of organizational mismanagement. And organizations are feeling this as an acute pain point as they scramble to respond to high staff turnover, foot extra costs of recruitment and onboarding in exchange for staff who are less familiar with organizational processes and have lower productivity. It's like trying to mop up a flood without fixing the burst water main, only to wonder why the water keeps pouring in. So how are nurses and advanced practice nurses responding to the toxic nursing culture? A lot clearly are giving up and leaving and deciding that the cost of working as a nurse outweighs any benefits. The paper by Auerbach and colleagues in Health Affairs Forefront reported findings from 2021 that the total number of registered nurses working in the US dropped by 100,000, the largest amount in 40 years, with younger nurses leading the exodus. And Berlin and colleagues predicted that by 2025, the US healthcare system could suffer a shortfall of up to 450,000 nurses, or 20% fewer than required for patient care. Now, just to call back to earlier episodes, remember, we have 500,000 to a million nurses that are not currently working right now. So there's a problem here. Nurses have shifted to contract work through agencies and locums placements, some even creating their own staffing agencies. People often think of this as a financial move because contract nurses are paid more than staff nurses, but the following finding took me by surprise. Travel and locums nurses employed by agencies generally report higher job satisfaction, and it's not just because of higher financial compensation. The Sloan Management Review study's top 5 rated employers were all agencies, and they determined that, quote, by focusing on nurses as clients, staffing agencies excel at practices that improve satisfaction beyond simply paying higher wages, unquote. Other benefits of agency work include feeling less immersed in workplace conflict and toxic cultures. Short-term contracts provide a time limit on suffering if you end up in a bad job, and contractual work produces less of a sense of a workplace entrapment. I talked about how that is a key factor in nursing burnout in the second episode. If you haven't listened to that, I strongly encourage you to, because entrapment is the root of nursing burnout. So, what we see here is that travel nurses might be happier, have better working relationships with their employers, and have more freedom over their schedule. They might earn more money, but travel nursing still requires exposure to toxic cycles inside organizations, which is why travel nurses and locums are more likely to report feeling emotionally drained, used up, fatigued, burned out, and at the end of their rope, according to the research by Martin and colleagues in the Journal of Nursing Regulation. Even with higher pay and better employers, nursing work continues to be untenable at baseline, and this is true for nurses across the board. So, how are nurses' actions affecting the situation? Some people will tell you that leaving, traveling, and unionizing are part of the problem. But that's wrong. To me, that feels like victim blaming. Many nurses are trying to fight for better conditions. Union activity is on the rise, and so are strikes. At Nurses Investing for Wealth, your colleagues are actively seeking out clarity and confidence about their money so they can escape nursing, or at least cut back their hours, put strong boundaries around their nursing careers with their employers. They see this as a path to mental and emotional wellness, increased personal safety, ending physical exhaustion, prioritizing family, and pursuing their passions or trying a new hobby. This is how nurses are figuring out how to survive. Nursing actions in response to the modern crisis might cause headaches for healthcare leadership, but doing the right thing often does. Nurses who want to make a difference in a broken system and provide good patient care should find ways to do it. Striking and quitting shows that there's a problem with the organizations, not with the nurses themselves, not with you. These decisions put pressure on an already stressed system. It's true, but pressure is a driver of change. This kind of subversion is how nurses are improving our toxic system. It's not helping you to find ways to continue to coexist within it. Sometimes this fight is through advocacy. Other times it's through quitting. or just maybe putting strong boundaries in place with your organization. Smart organizations who are committed to high quality patient care should collaborate with nurses who are seeking to survive in the midst of this crisis. When that happens, it leads to greater loyalty, less strikes, and better staff retention. I've talked a lot about what data says is happening and what research suggests will likely help in this mini series. But there's something big missing. And that's the power that nurses gain by having their finances ready to take big career risks and pivot when needed. I'm a nurse and a nurse practitioner. This year, I've been a nurse for half my life. I started this journey as a 16-year-old candy striper, became a CNA at 18, a nurse at 22, a nurse practitioner at 28. All of the feelings and experiences I've talked about in this podcast are familiar to me personally in every stage of this career path. I started out feeling stuck in toxic environments because of debt and financial struggles. I've worked in unsustainable, unhealthy environments. I've worked with my union and as a policy advocate at state and national levels with the Washington State Nurse Association and the American Nurse Association. I've served as president of the King County Nurse Association from Seattle. I've worked contracts as a travel nurse, then later as a locums nurse practitioner. I've worked part-time, full-time, overtime, unpaid time, and I've burnt out. It was so bad, I quit nursing for 5 years. When I returned, it was just 10 hours a week with one goal: to keep my license active. My own motives around money have always been driven partly by anxiety about how unsustainable nursing has felt. I knew if anything happened to my license, my livelihood would go with it. I've heard countless stories from colleagues, nursing friends, members of professional associations and boards that I've served. I've witnessed career ending injuries, retaliation, assaults, scapegoating, and layoffs. I've heard from colleagues who are desperate to get out or take extended time away, but feel trapped because they don't have the financial resources to do that. There's the nurses who come to me panicked because they're ready to retire, but they don't have enough. Then there's the nurse who's getting their sick time questioned and PTO declined, feeling like their options are limited. I have focused on saving and investing since I was 22 years old, in part because I've always had a sense that my career, and therefore my income, was precarious, despite a plethora of open job postings. It's why I set out to build an evidence-based money strategy for myself. It gave me financial independence and is what allowed me to continue to exist in the nursing world. Being financially independent ended the feeling of being trapped in toxic nursing culture. It gave me the option to quit when I needed to. It also meant that I didn't feel obligated to retrain and abandon my first career. It let me go back part-time. It allowed me to set boundaries around work, to avoid overtime, and say no to unpaid time. It made me a confident advocate, not just for myself, but also for my colleagues and my patients, and I never fear retaliation. There's no doubt in my mind that my workplace needs me more than I need them. Losing my job because I'm doing the right thing wouldn't mean losing my livelihood as a financially free nurse, because my investments pay me more each year than my nursing salary. I know my mind is blown by this reality. I'm still shocked, but it can be your reality too. And if you do the things I teach you, I have no doubt it will be. Now I work because I want to, not because I have to. And that's what I want for you too. I'm here to share this freedom with you. You deserve it. The more financially free nurses we have as colleagues, the more powerfully we can dismantle our surrounding toxic work environments and create better healthcare systems. This is why I say, One nurse's financial freedom is another nurse's power. If you relate and if you're ready to set up your own money strategy for financial freedom, then do this now. Visit learn.nursesinvesting.com, click the button at the top of the page that says Get the Free Video, enter your email address, and then check your email. You'll get immediate access to my free training where I teach fellow nurses how to become work optional in 1 hour a month without burning out, wasting time on one size fits all finance strategies, or falling for bogus investment ploys. You'll also learn how to get your employer to pay you to do this work. So go to learn.nursesinvesting.com and take your next step. Tune in to the next episode where I'll be chatting with Shamika, the founder and CEO of NOSA Group and a former student of mine. She describes how working with me to set her financial strategy is making it possible for her to retire comfortably in her mid-50s, just less than 10 years away. She struggled to figure it out before, but not anymore. I'll see you in the next episode or in the free training, maybe both. Thank you for being here. I'm excited to see you become financially independent and turn that into nursing power. Maybe that will mean early retirement, working part-time, or quitting altogether. You'll be able to choose. Before you go, can you leave me a review on iTunes? That really helps more nurses find this. Thank you. I appreciate you. Bye for now.